Hey there, we are going to do Unit 11. We're going to do levels 1 and 2 today. So take some notes on this. This is really important stuff. The benchmark will be tomorrow, and you really need to know what we're doing to make that go well. So our goal for today for level 1 is to be able to find the prime factorization of a number. We did this previously, but it bears revisiting. We had some issues with it, and so I want to go over it again. Plus, the benchmark is on prime factorization, and you need to know how to do this. What is a prime factor? So when we are finding those, we are making a factor tree and we are looking for the roots, which are the numbers at the bottom. These are the prime factors, and we're going to write those using powers. So let's walk through a couple. First thing we want to do is make a factor tree for 38. So remember, I'm looking for all of the numbers that go into 38. I'm going to break this down. I know that 38 is 2 times 19. 2 doesn't break down, 19 doesn't break down. So these are my prime factors. 2 to the first power, because there's only one of them, times 19 to the first power, because there's only one, okay? So I'm writing out the prime factors of 38. I'm going to do a little harder one here. I'm going to do 80. So I'm going to start by making a factor tree. I know that 80 is 8 times 10, and I know that 8 is 4 times 2, and I know that 4 is 2 times 2. I also know that 10 is 5 times 2, and these are all of my roots, my prime factors. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 2s, and I have 1 5. So it's 2 to the fourth times 5 to the first. Now I think when you're working on Mobius, they're going to want you to list them out like this, okay? They're going to want you to list every single one. So you're going to do 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 5, how many there are of each one, okay? So that is prime factorization. Pretty easy. Make a factor tree, look for the roots. We use this when we are simplifying radicals. So to simplify a radical, start by making a factor tree, and then we're looking for pairs of factors. The pairs get to come outside the radical, okay? So think about it like this. If you find your perfect pair, you guys get to go outside on a date. If you don't find a perfect pair and you're that leftover, you have to stay home lonely on a Friday night, okay? We're going to practice this with our numbers and see how it works. So we have 120. The first thing I'm going to do is make a factor tree. And your factor tree may not look like mine, and that is okay, as long as the roots at the bottom are the same. So we should have the same numbers here, even if your branches are different, okay? And I'm looking for pairs. So I have a pair of 2s, and those get to come outside the radical. I don't have a pair of anything else. I only have one of each. Those are inside the radical, and we're going to multiply them. So 3 times 5 times 2 is 30. This simplifies to be 2 times the square root of 30. Go ahead and pause the video for a second and make a factor tree for 216. All right, I'm going to make a factor tree and you can see how yours compares to mine, okay? So I know 6 times 36, 6 is 2 times 3, 36 is 6 times 6, which is 2 times 3, and 2 times 3. Again, I am looking for pairs. So this time I have a pair of 2s that are going to be outside, and I have a pair of 3s that are going to be outside. I have a leftover 2 and a leftover 3, which are sad because they don't have a pair. They're going to stay inside. Now remember I talked about I multiply these numbers? You can probably guess what I'm going to do with those numbers out front. I'm going to multiply those as well. And I'm going to get 6 on the outside and 6 on the inside. So this simplifies to be 6 square root of 6. Oops. Now, we don't always have a radical that we're looking for pairs, okay? There is a number that is called the index, and that tells you how many you need in your group. So let's actually look at this one. If I look at 162, this number right here, the 3, is called the index, which means that I am looking for groups of 3 when I make my factor tree. So same process. I'm still going to make my factor tree. I'm going to break this all down. as far as I can go. But this time, instead of looking for pairs, I'm looking for groups of 3, like this 3 3s. That gets to come outside the radical, and my leftover 2 times 3 gives me a 6 inside the radical. So it's the same idea, but the index, that little number, tells you how many need to be in your group that you're looking for. Now, just to throw a wrench in it, we are going to add some variables, okay? But you're still following the same process. Simplify the number first, like you always did, then break the variables apart as well, okay? So let's split this up. We're going to start with 50, and we're going to make a factor tree. And we're still looking for pairs. I have a pair of 5s, which is outside the radical, and I have a 2 left inside the radical. Now I'm going to take this x, and this 4 tells me that there are 4 x's. I'm just going to write them all out. Again, I'm looking for groups of 2. So I have one group of 2 here, and I have one group of 2 here, which means that outside the radical, I have 2 groups or 2 pairs of x's, and I have nothing left over to be inside. This is my final simplification. Looking at this next one, I'm actually going to split this into 3. I'm going to deal with the 105, then I'm going to do the x squared, and I'm going to do the y3. So pause the video real quick, make your factor tree for 105, and see what you get. Hopefully, yours looks something like mine, and you have a 5, a 7, and a 3. No pairs here. So nothing gets to come out of the radical, which means that full 105 is staying inside the radical. Now look at your variables. Start with the x's. You have 2 of them, which is one group, and nothing left over, nothing to stay inside. Then do your y's. You have 3 y's, which is one group outside, and one leftover inside. This is your simplified radical, okay? So the variables are kind of the same as the numbers. You just break them apart, make your groups, just like you would with any of the numbers in the factor trees. You have a benchmark coming up on Monday, so make sure that you do work on levels 1 and level 2 assignments in order to be ready for that benchmark. The point values are on Schoology, so make sure you check there. I think level 1 is 5 points you have to get, and level 2 is 18, but check in Schoology just to be sure, okay? I hope you're staying well and taking care and staying healthy. Talk to you later.